you have to want to do it, and you have to feel comfortable with who you're doing it with. If by chance I just got a 17-year-old girl, well, there would be nothing there. And so that's why I kept going to different places. They never got better trainers.
Welcome to Get Busy Livin. Before we get started with our special guest today, I want to talk to you about Merrick Health. Merrick Health is a company that I have vetted out for you, that you can get your blood test done to determine what the next steps are in your life. A lot of men that I work with have no idea where to go next, and that's really where I come in as a coach, is to help you understand what's next. So I want to be more thoughtful than just saying, hey, eat a low-carb diet or work out this way. We need to start with your blood work. And there is a link in the show description that I want you to click on. And you can just use Maximized Man as a discount code to get a discount on your blood work so we know where to go next with you. In addition to that, Vitos Lifestyle is a longtime partner of mine and an advertiser here on the podcast. They make home gym equipment that is very affordable. You can put it in your gym bag, bands. Actually, my guest uses them all the time when he comes to my house and trains with me. But this is something that I really believe you should invest in, to have tools in your toolbox, because that's really what it takes in order for you to get in your healthiest body. You shouldn't have any reason not to work out while you're on the road, or any of the excuses that I hear over and over again from people. Clark, I can't work out on the road. If you have bands with you in your suitcase, then you have no excuse. So click the link in the show notes, use the code Clark, you'll get a discount there. So if you follow me on social media, you'll see in my stories many, many times a very good friend of mine. He's a client, he's a good friend, he is a mentor, he is someone who I love and my family loves. I make fun of him all the time. I'm gonna make fun of him today. Give it up for Wayne Steele. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Do we hear clapping now?
There is clapping somewhere. Yeah, there's clapping. So you excited to be here on the podcast today?
I am excited, yes.
What are you excited about?
I'm excited because we did the first one a couple of years ago and I was a disaster. So today, no disaster.
So what did you do wrong last time that you think you're going to improve on this time?
I was terrified.
You were? Why?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not terrified anymore.
What did you do today? Did you smoke some weed or something today?
I should have. I think that now, yeah. This is too professional.
Isn't this studio nice?
Yes, it's very nice.
So my buddy Jim Brook of Providence Video Productions has provided this studio for me to bring in guests, because you know me, man, I got to do it right.
Yep.
You got to do it right if you're going to do it in life. So speaking of that, let's go back in time. How long have you been training with me now? Any idea?
You know, it's either 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
I remember when you asked me how old I was and you were that old, and it's got to be 3 or 4 years.
So you don't remember what your answer was as far as your age when I asked you?
Yeah, I don't.
I remember there was something else I asked you too. Do you remember?
We're not going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
No, we're not.
Absolutely, we're going to talk about that.
No, we're going to talk about the age. And I think I know I just gotten a raise for the money so I could afford you. So it's about 3 or 4 years.
Okay, yeah. So in the 3 or 4 years, how much have you improved with your fitness? And when I say fitness, I don't mean just weight loss, because that's what most people associate fitness with. Like, I lost X amount of weight. That isn't always the barometer for success.
That's true.
It's function, it's
true.
mindset, it's just ability across the board. So if you were to assess yourself, you showed up at my house that day, let's say you were at a 5. Where do you think you're at now?
What's the top?
At nearly 80 years old. Just everything collectively, like function.
I know, but was it, if I was perfect, it would be 10?
Yes.
Okay, and you think I was at a 5? I don't think I was a 5.
What were you at?
3.
Okay.
And it was getting worse every day. So I think I'm 7+.
That's huge.
7+.
And you're 80, and you're not 80 yet. Like I say, I'm 60. I'm not 60. I'm 59. He's 79.
I'm gonna be.
We're right around the corner. We both have a birthday in October, so it is fair to say that we're closer to 60 than we are 50. He's closer to 80 than he is 70.
Yes.
So with that being said, most people would think that you couldn't go from a 3 to a 7 plus in a few short years. And you did it prior to just a few, like you did it right away. You changed instantly. And I have evidence of that because I have people every single day on every time I post you saying, Wayne is doing so good. Wayne is impressing me with how much he's improved, not just in his physicality, but in his mindset, because they've seen a shift in every part of you. So I want to celebrate that for a second, because you think I only put you online to make fun of you, and that's not true. I put you online to encourage people, but I make fun of you at the same time. So it's fun.
Yeah, right. It really doesn't bother me anymore.
I know. It never did bother you.
It bothered me some.
What, really?
I cried on the way home. No, not much. Not much.
You told me when we first started training, you said you could never embarrass me.
I said that?
You said that. You said you could never do anything to embarrass me. Because we kind of had that.
That's kind of not true. I thought you would be a little more gentle, nice. But as it turned out, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
I refer to my style as loving tough, not tough love. You're a teacher. So let's go back on your history a little bit so people get to know you beyond
How many times have you done this?
How many times have I done?
Back on my history.
Back on your history? Never. I only just
Not
make fun of you in the present moment.
Yeah.
Like I'm only worried about
no
how
problem.
I can. So we'll go back to when you were a young Wayne. What was young Wayne like back when you were 20?
I was what?
20 years old. Were you a womanizer? Did you get a lot of chicks?
My life started about 23.
Okay, what
That's
happened
when I
at
joined the Navy.
Okay.
And that's when I got away from a domineering mother, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I consider it starting at 23.
Okay.
'Cause I was away from home. I was on my own. And
So at age 23, you enlisted into the United States Navy, and you went somewhere in Michigan for boot camp, I'm guessing. That's where Navy's boot camp is? Where's their boot camp at?
San Diego.
Oh, really?
But they were having influenza, so I had to go to Great Lakes, Illinois. Great Lakes.
Okay, yeah. So the Navy has boot camp in San Diego?
They did.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I only thought the Marines
right over
did.
there where that ship that sits out on this. That was part of it.
Okay. The
Yeah.
ship that sits out on the sea?
Yeah.
Any idea which one?
Which one? What?
Which ship?
Well, I don't know the name of it, but it's just a fake one that they put in the quad where they had to use it for various things.
Okay.
It's a wooden ship that they just built and
The Queen Mary?
No, it's way littler than that. But it sits right there now. You can't miss it as you go by.
I believe you. All right. So you go to Great Lakes, Illinois for boot camp. You come out of boot camp, and what happens next?
Oh, when I come out of boot camp, we had to go to the schools that we were selected for.
And what was your school?
Mine was hospital corpsman, which if you're in the Navy, hospital corpsman, Marines, Navy corpsman, all the rest are medics.
So
but it's the same thing.
Why did you choose corpsman? Because you wanted to look at nuts and
One, I chose it because it's hard to get into, so it was there. And two, I thought I would be clean the whole time, in a nice hospital and just,
so that
sailing through.
that is the opposite of what happened to you next.
Yeah, right, too.
Okay, so
when I got out of course school, they sent us to hospitals to refine
your skills.
Yeah.
All right. So what were you working on in the hospitals? Like, what were your duties on a day-to-day basis? Just regular routine stuff?
Well, first I met, there was a hospital at Great Lakes, and we had to work there for a while, but I was assigned to Puerto Rico, and so therefore it was a smaller station, and we all just kind of did what we did. I spent a little bit of time on pediatrics, and a lot of time on just ER.
Okay.
So OR. ER.
What year was this?
Huh?
What year?
1967.
Was that Korean War era?
No, Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Yes. were leading to that. So you're in Puerto Rico.
I'm in Puerto Rico. We're happy. We have a fun time. There was about 12 of us there, and work in the hospital. It's a small thing. And then we almost all got orders to the Marine Corps.
So you're doing what you wanted to do when you enlisted in the Navy at 23. You thought, okay, I'm going to get a clean job. I want to work in a hospital. 12 buddies. We're in Puerto Rico having a good time. Suddenly you get orders. They say, show up to where? Where do you got to go?
Well, because I was from Great Lakes, we all did ours on the East Coast. So I had to go to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Okay, so you show up at Camp Lejeune and you report to a Marine.
Well, we all reported. It was like a set time, so there was like 45 of us that reported, which we knew a lot from Corps School. But then they gave us our sea bag full of Marine clothes and switched us over.
So they just told you you're going to be a Marine now?
Yeah, I'm going to be a Marine. I'm going to be a medic Marine. It's called FMF, Fleet Marine Force.
Yes.
And nowadays, if you signed up tomorrow, you could choose. You want to do that or you don't. But we had no choice.
Because it was wartime.
Yes.
So they needed medics in the war.
Yes, sir.
And so were there a line of guys, like the book you made me read about Vietnam had described it as there were 30 people in a room, for example, and they went 1, 2, 3 Marine, 1, 2, 3 Marine.
When we got to this stage in my life, after I'd been at the hospital learning things, then when we got there, we were all Marines.
Okay. So they knew they were training you to go to war.
They knew exactly that.
You had no idea.
No, we had no idea. We were so naive.
Okay.
Then we got through Camp Lejeune and we did various things. And then
did they train you at that time how to shoot a gun, how to do anything to prepare yourself for war?
Yeah, it was a kind of a mini
boot
Marine
camp?
Corps boot camp, in that they couldn't do much to us because they didn't really have authority over us. So, the Marines themselves right there, when we got there they were, but mostly no. So, and it wasn't that bad. We shot and climbed
ropes.
Yeah.
So you're 24 now at this time?
Yep.
24 years old, you show up at Camp Lejeune, you're assigned to a Marine Corps unit, you're a corpsman trained, you have a little bit of training as a Marine, and then when do you find out what happens next, and what did that look like?
We were there maybe 7 months, and then we all got orders to Vietnam.
So you're standing there one day, and you get these orders, they say, report to, and...
We had to report to out of San Francisco, there's that Air Force Base, and we had to report there to fly over.
Okay. So what was the ride like on the airplane to Vietnam?
Well, again, we were so naive at that time. If you look back, that whole plane was corpsmen. Not one other person was corpsman.
So is it a C-130, is it a commercial flight?
No, it's commercial flight.
Okay, commercial flight, you're flying on American Airlines or whatever.
We have beautiful stewardesses, and they were passing out food and being as friendly as they could.
They're flight attendants.
They knew
now,
more than we did, to be honest with you. Huh?
I said they're called flight attendants now, just so you don't get canceled.
Yeah, but see, this is 1966.
I get that. They were stews then.
So anyway, that was it. So then we arrived there. It was 126 degrees when I got off the plane.
Humid as hell.
And I had my, I don't know what you call them in the Marine Corps, those, just a green.
A UD, uniform of the day?
Just plain one that you would work in and stuff, yeah. And they're so hot, they're big. So we had to wait to get our jungle camis, and then we were assigned areas.
So you get there and you hang out for how long before you?
Week and a half.
Week and a half.
We were filling sandbags and laughing and
thinking. Still, you had no idea.
No idea what we were doing.
So little by little, they kind of slowly moved you into this next phase.
No, they were. If you've ever been in the Marine Corps, and they have lists, and it's like a list of 10, 12 people.
Uh-huh.
And my name is Steele, the last name, and so therefore I was at the end of the list.
Okay.
But they called us all and said, "You're going to 322. You're going to 4."
So
you know that numbers? More than me. I don't know.
Yeah, 322.
Third Marines, 21st Battalion, blah, blah, blah. Is that right?
I don't know.
And, had we done research and all, we would know that these 321, for example, was they had been badly beat up, and so therefore they had needed corpsmen that were passed on. So, which is, once you get a bad thing like that, then they send new people in. Well, you don't know diddly about the country, and so you go, it's just bad after bad, because they can't. So
what area?
So I, in all my wisdom, was the last one, and once they assigned him, they left. So I was sitting there alone with this guy. And he said, "You're going to go to Third Recon." Do you know what that is?
Yes, I know what that is.
You do. Do our people?
Yes, they know what recon is.
Everyone in this that listening to us knows Third Recon.
Well, I don't know if they know Third Recon specifically, but I think most people know what recon is.
Well, they know what recon is, but we just had to helicopter over and then recon our way back to the line. The good people would go to the bad people's line and work our way back.
So you went over enemy lines, you went into enemy territory.
On the helicopter, they'd stop, we'd get out, they'd leave, and we would walk back to the
go back. And what are you looking for?
Line, huh?
Right. So what are you looking for walking back? What was the
anything
purpose?
We could see? We wanted to know if they had made a village, if they had gotten ready to fight right there or whatnot.
So you're doing reconnaissance with Third Recon, but your job solely was to help in the event that someone got injured.
I did very little recon because, first of all, I didn't know corps.
Right.
I didn't know recon, and so. But it turned out then when we finally got to Third Recon, it was basically the same thing. The American government wouldn't let the corpsmen carry rifles.
Okay.
So we carried a .45, which is not all that good. But once, and then the American government said you cannot fire first.
Right.
If you see bad guys, you have to. So, but they weren't there. They didn't know if we were firing first or second. Didn't matter. And so once they got if they fired, they'd usually hit someone, and then my job was done with that patrol. It was getting him stop bleeding, et cetera, et cetera. We call in Air Force, the helicopters that come in, blah, 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 grab, and then leave them. And so we did a very, very good job compared to World War II and Korea. They're doing a better job now over in the Middle East.
Right, because they're trained.
Oh, yeah, they've changed that whole thing. Yeah.
So you're on the other side of enemy lines, you're coming back, they're doing reconnaissance. Did anyone in your platoon get shot and you had to go do what you were trained?
Yeah, I really think they thought it was fun just to torment us like that. Because there wasn't like a whole group waiting. There was like maybe 4 snipers somewhere around. They were just...
So the Vietnamese, they like torment.
Yes, sir.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, they would do it, and I would then be out of the way, because I would be working on him, getting him stopped, and getting him ready to. If it was just a flesh wound, why we kept it. He came back with us, but otherwise we had to call a helicopter in.
So did the Marines take care of you? Were they like, "Hey, Steele,
oh my God,
back there"?
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
There were corpsmen they didn't like, but most of them they liked us. We did a good job.
Yeah, why wouldn't they like you? You're there to keep them alive.
Well, if you were just bad attitude, bad.
Yeah.
Some of us still didn't accept the fact we were over there. We joined the Navy. So some of them were just not, any place you see, there's people that are not pleasant, and that would be one.
So were there any situations specifically that you want to talk about or remember or that kind of stick with you to this day that you want to discuss? Like a person, a situation. I remember when this guy named Smith got shot and I did X, Y, or Z.
I don't know names. Because the corpsmen were being shot. Now, if the corpsman was shot or wounded or killed or whatever, that patrol was aborted and they all had to go back. So
because they would
knew,
look at you as a target.
They knew to target me or us because we had no rifle.
Right.
The Marines are continually always do the same thing, and I walked behind the radio man, so they knew right away who to shoot at. Again, going back to that original, we were over there with one complete plane of corpsmen. we were supposed to have a 10-week course in medicine, and we had an 8-week course. And they said, "No, we got some videos. We don't have time to show them to you. It's probably never going to happen. One, if you have to amputate or, if something blown off of the body." And so my first big eye-opening, realizing where I was in the world, was this guy got double amputee, hit a mine and just went, and he was laying there totally relaxed because he didn't understand, your whole body changes. And so he, we were talking and, before he went into shock. So I had to get him to where he was, staying out of shock, but there was no way he could live. So we just kind of hung there together, and then when the plane came, they took him away.
So you were the first one with him when he was blown
I was the
up.
only one there, and the other guys weren't hit because it was a mine, and therefore he was on his own, and so it was just me to kind of make sure he's okay until he goes.
So where were you in relation to him when it blew up, and how did that specifically?
We're about 8 to 10 feet apart, and so he was close to second, maybe. I was almost the end.
So in the line of people moving through the jungle. So you're behind him. He's second. You're fifth or so behind the radio guy. Do you hear a click or any of these things that we see on the movies? Like click, oh shit, I stepped on a mine, don't move. It was just bam.
It might be more, but in the jungle, no, not so much. And they didn't have the sophistication that the Arabs have now. It was just kind of so it would just blow up.
So it blew up and it didn't go out. So there was no collateral damage.
And so anyone that stepped on it was doomed, but not us.
So at that point, you see that. Do you actually see it happen, or do you just hear it and then respond?
Well, if you're 35 feet away, you might see a little bit, but it's kind of like a car wreck when you see one way on down. This one just happens to affect you, so you got to do something.
Right. So you said he was in shock, right? He obviously would go into shock. What is your state of mind at that point? Do you instantly go into training mode, what you were taught, even though you got 6 weeks, not 8? You got a few weeks in Puerto Rico in a hospital. You got some stuff in basic training or after basic training. What is your state of mind and how do you react at that point?
You don't, the state of mind is what you do, that's what you do. And so we had seen things, I had talked to people, I had known things. And so, I went up and gave him some morphine right away just to keep him, from seeing everything. They kind of go like this when you get a whole bunch of morphine and they don't think. And that's what I wanted, not to think. Because he would think there's no legs there. Huh. That was pretty rough.
So you give him the morphine. Now, are you having a conversation with him at that point?
I'm trying to. He's kind of mumbling and thinking, yes, but I just talked to him and told him various things I knew of the world as it was today. I'm back in the United States. So we just talked. It wasn't long. It wasn't like an hour. It was like 7 minutes, and then they knew what happened. The patrol leader called in the
helicopter.
Yep, and they took him away. He was still coherent a little bit. He was still, it was just coherent in that he was in and out, but he was there.
Right.
But he didn't make it.
So the conversation, is it like, hey, tell my family I love them, or any of that sort of thing?
No, he's more about, where's the patrol going? How come I can't get on? How come
really?
They're trained that way.
Yeah.
And so I would just, you have to make up answers sometimes just to make sure that they're okay and just settled and calm, because they're not going to make it.
Right.
So, but that was one of very few. A lot of mine made them back. You get them patched up, get them stop bleeding, get them on the helicopter, and then you go. Once in a while, they'll come back and see you. Really? I mean, if they were close in that division, then they would come and say, hey, you remember me?
Have you had any of those guys come back to you that say that, either back then or recently?
Back then I saw a couple, but not now. Here, it's too many years ago.
Hey, they could find you on Facebook. If a girlfriend can, a guy from Vietnam certainly can. especially if you help
But,
save
you
his
know,
life.
they have to tell me like I'm a left knee collapsed and the right eye was rough. So
Well, I just think any connection at all, I don't think it needs to be specific. It's like, hey, we were in Vietnam together. We were on that patrol, and I got shot, and you helped save me. I just wanted to thank you.
Two. I know two people that way.
Really?
And I probably, 365 days, I probably 70, 75.
Really? So how many, so you helped save 70, 75 guys?
I don't know, but I mean, I got them squared away so that they could get back to the hospital, get this, or, you know, get them wounded. And they'd send them back to their platoon.
Yeah, platoon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you get any sort of injury or would anything happen to you? Because again, you were a target. They would want to take out a corpsman. Did anyone shoot at you?
That's true. But I know how to duck.
You know how to duck?
The minute you hear a shot, you duck. And so I guess I was just lucky.
Yeah.
I guess I was just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, thankfully.
The wrong place is not good.
Yeah, for sure. So does any of this bother you talking about it? Do you have any sort of, like, is
Generally, no. Like this, we're talking generalities.
Uh-huh.
But if you hone in on them, it's a little different. I have other things. What I've talked to you, I just don't like to tell other people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
what
that.
I told you.
Yeah, and we won't talk about those things.
No,
unless you
it's
felt.
not. It's just not something you want to talk about.
Yeah, I get it. And so let's lighten the mood a little bit. Anyway, thank you for your service. I know too often we don't say that to people who served, and it's not like you wanted to be in that situation or you necessarily. We heard that you didn't choose to be in that situation. But regardless, you were in that situation, and that's basically what we celebrated yesterday is like this independence that we have.
They had it over us because we were all looking for an honorable discharge. So you couldn't just say, no, I don't want to go, or no, I don't want to do this or that. No.
Oh, no, you would have got locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And that's why it was... you were just lucky because sometimes patrols went out and nothing happened. That was good. But if you went out and there was happening, why, they'd either send some more people out to help you get you out, or you just have to work with it there. But the Vietnamese, in my opinion, didn't stay long. They came in, shot, and got out of there because they knew how to get away.
So they had tunnels and all that sophisticated stuff underneath.
Yeah, but they were a little more south. I was way up north by the DMZ, so they were more south.
So did you see any of the tunnels, or did you?
Yeah, I was in one once, but that was all clear. I just went in to look and see how it was. They were very sophisticated.
Yeah.
They weren't just like a hole in the ground. They were high and.
Yeah, they had home field advantage. They had plenty of time to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you 365 days in Vietnam.
Yes, sir.
And then you come home.
Yes, sir.
What is it like when you come home? So we understand. First of all, let me ask you this: have you watched many Vietnam movies?
Not all of them. I watched Full Metal Jacket. That's the best one that I watched because that was Marines.
Right.
The Army was so different that it's not fun to watch. I mean, they don't know.
Yeah, I was going to ask which one, based upon your experience, was the most realistic.
Full Metal, yeah. And everyone says that was primo.
Yeah, well, I can just say that from a boot camp perspective. They were in the actual squad bays that we were in, and it was pretty much identical to what I experienced as a young guy in boot camp in Paris Island in 1981. So you come back from Vietnam. Is it you just show up?
I came back and was assigned to Camp Pendleton.
Okay, so you show up at San Diego Airport. You fly into San Diego?
No, I flew to L.A.
You flew to L.A.?
Yeah.
To what?
They
just a regular?
There was a 505 or the 5 when they split there and go, this goes to Disneyland, this goes to the airport, 405.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a Air Force, there was a Marine base there.
Camp Pendleton?
No,
up there. Oh, El Toro.
Toro. And we stopped there. We flew from Japan to there, and then they had us get off and change our clothes to civilian clothes. Remember, this was 1969, and the people still didn't like the war.
Right. So
They could not separate the war from the warrior.
right.
They can now, but they couldn't then.
So with that said, when you landed in L.A., you were in a uniform.
When I landed at El Toro,
So you, but
that's
you.
about an hour from.
Oh, so you actually landed in El Toro because that was an air
Yeah,
base.
we changed our clothes and
So
we
you
got,
landed on a Marine Corps air base. It wasn't. There were no civilians around to give you hate.
no, we got on buses and
Got
went to the airport. Now the good thing was it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. My flight was out fairly early. I had no problems. I had no one.
Spitting
No one
on
wanted to
you.
talk to me. But remember, 1969, we had short hair. They knew exactly who we were.
Yeah.
And new clothes.
Okay. So you didn't experience any of that.
I didn't
baby
experience. I
killer
saw a
stuff
couple
or-
of them, but just as I walked by, but nothing for me. No.
So since then, so you didn't get any orders to go back again. Was the war? Where were we at that time?
Yeah. Well, I came back, and another 6 months I got out of the Navy.
Okay.
So then they couldn't get me again.
They could have if they wanted to extend you, just forcefully extend to you.
Oh yeah. No, they didn't.
So with respect to what you experienced and the impact it had on you emotionally, what sort of care did you get to help you work through that sort of thing? They just leave you on your own? They
They
send you
just
home?
say goodbye. Thanks for serving.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. And
That's good.
yeah, I just got out, and then my wife and I moved to a place so I could get schooling, and I got schooling, and then I worked.
So that was that. You get out, you get no sort of transitional conversation with any expert to help you sort through some of what you saw. You just stuck back in the world again. Now you got to go get a job. You're how old at this time? 25? 25 years old? 20?
Yeah, 25, 26. By the time I got out of college and got my master's and so forth, it was 27, I guess.
So now are you dealing at this point with any sort of memories of what you saw and experienced? Are you having nightmares? Are you experiencing anything negative?
To me, this is different in the fact I had no nightmares. But then fast forward 25 years, and I had nightmares. And so I went to counseling, and this lady said, I think you have PTSD. I said, are you crazy? That was 25 years ago. I'm fine. But the psychiatrist had come from an army base back east, and she said, that's what we're finding now.
So it's like delayed onset
Yes.
PTSD. So you
PTSD.
suppress it for however many years, and then do they identify what maybe was the catalyst for?
Well, they know what the catalyst was back with my experiences, but I
for it
kept
to
saying, no,
manifest.
it couldn't happen because I didn't have anything up till then.
Right.
But I gave, it was kind of a reoccurring thing, and I would try to get out of it. At one point, I gave my wife a black eye in bed because I was,
Flailing around.
And so they knew that, and so they said, no, you haven't. And so,
Do you think there was anything in your life, like was it pressure of having a young family or anything that caused anxiety which brought this emotion back up inside of you?
No, I think it just came, and it would come. The same dream would come maybe 3 or 4 times in 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
and it was always the same. And so
Can you talk about the dream?
I
or
was
no?
in Vietnam,
Right.
and I thought, I can't be here. I've already been here. I went home. I'm not back here. Why am I seeing this? And but then there were some bullets, and so I had to, it wasn't just a nice, you're on the way to the picnic. No, it was like bad times when we were, like that book I had you read.
Yeah.
There was always something
Right.
when you're there.
Of course. It's war.
They had a full group of Vietnamese that snuck down by Da Nang and snuck up on top of this building, and when they came out, they just shot them. And that's what we heard of when they were down there. they didn't know, but they were killing the band. And that's what they didn't kill anyone that might kill them.
It was the USO tour coming through?
No, it was just the Marine Corps band.
Oh.
They have one, you know, in the bigger states, in the bigger places they have them so they can welcome people and all.
Right.
But no, so we knew they were out and about. We knew and the people that came in and worked in our place every day, then, you know, they were telling them what they could see and whatnot, you know. So, yeah, I think that's what kind of caused it a little bit, but it got bad.
Got it. So fast forward, you get your master's degree, you start teaching, you're raising a family, you have one son, Greg, and you move through life, you do all your teaching and everything, and then you retire from teaching. In what year?
Yes, sir.
What year did you retire?
03.
03. And then what happens at that point in your life? What are you looking to do?
Well, I retired and I sat on the couch for a month.
Right.
And then I thought, this is not fun.
Yeah.
So I started volunteering for one, and I had a previous trainer that was very young but very good, and so he started me on this just to keep me. Then he went on to become a physical therapist, so
yeah.
I
you speak
him.
very highly of him. He did a great job with you.
I might bring him over tomorrow night.
Okay. You were at what age? So you're retired, you're sitting on the couch, you realize, I'm getting fat, I'm getting out of shape, I'm not liking who I am, I need to do something different. You get a trainer. You're how old at that point? How old are you at that point? We're fast forwarding now in your life.
Yeah. My son was in college, so I've been in the 93, 94.
Okay.
That's the times.
Yeah, we don't need to figure it out. So 93, 94, you start training.
Yeah.
Train for a few years. You realize this is something that you need to start incorporating in your life. Otherwise, you're just going to fall apart. Now,
absolutely right.
So that's kind of what we'll segue into. Again, thank you for your service. We appreciate you sharing everything. We don't really talk about that all that much. And I'm grateful that you were able to kind of enlighten us on your experience with a not so enjoyable time in your life for 365 days in a country that you didn't want to be in, fighting people that you didn't want to fight, and so on. But you did it.
And we just never thought of not doing it.
Right. So you start training with a trainer, and for whatever reason that ends, he went on to be a physical therapist. And one day you're just driving down my street and you see a sign in front of my house. It says trainer for hire, whatever it says, male or female. How many times?
Male, female trainers,
Yeah.
but it's trainers and own gym.
Yep. How many times did you see that sign before you decided to
7 or 8.
pull up my
'Cause
driveway?
I don't always
uninvited?
go down that road, but anytime I went down that road, I saw it, and it always piqued my interest. I had gone to LA Fitness and all those, and at that time they only had young 16, 18-year-old girls for trainers, and that's not what I wanted. And so I just didn't go. So then I thought, well, we'll see what this guy has to offer.
So you didn't want a 16, 18-year-old girl trainer. What were you looking for specifically?
I was looking for someone, not like you, but I was looking actually trying to replace my old trainer.
Right.
A young guy who was adamant about doing it and working, and yeah.
Yeah. And then you happened to run into me. You got the complete polar opposite of anything you ever imagined you would
Absolutely. And I still didn't know you. I didn't know anything about you.
So you pull up my driveway.
We're not going there, you know.
You decide to turn into my driveway.
We're not going there. No, but you came out and we had a nice talk, maybe half hour.
So let me back up a little bit. I'm in the back of my house. I had a T-shirt printer at the time, and I'm printing T-shirts, doing live, doing something. We have a Ring doorbell thing. Anita's not home. We have dogs. They'll bark if someone shows up. Anita messages me and says, hey, there's a guy on the front porch. Right at the time, I hear a knock. I hear the dogs going nuts. Were you nervous to pull up my driveway? You didn't know what to expect. You didn't know who you would run into?
No, because all I have to do is back up and go away if I don't like anything that's going on.
Right. So I show up.
I wasn't nervous at all.
Yeah. I show up, I open the door, we see each other, and the first words out of your mouth are, do you remember?
Yeah, kind of.
What do you think you said?
I probably want these words, but it said, I need help.
It's exactly what you said.
I need help because I can't do it alone.
Yep. And I appreciated that. And I said, okay, let's talk. And we sat down on the patio out there. And the next words out of your mouth were, do you remember? No, nothing bad.
Okay.
Do you remember what the next ones were? And it was what made me say yes. Because I was done training people. I wasn't going to train anyone anymore. I had no
That's
desire.
right. And you told me that. And I thought, I don't care. I don't know him. I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
So,
I'll tell you if you don't remember.
go.
You said, I'm a Vietnam vet and I'm struggling right now. And I said, done deal, I'm in.
That's true.
That was it. So
That is true.
Yep. You said, I need
I
help.
still didn't get it. I didn't know why. If you had a sign out there, you didn't want to hire people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I didn't know your family, so I didn't know what all was
Yeah,
going
that sign
on.
was for Anita
Yeah.
and Mitch. And at the time, Mitch wanted to train people. And I was like, I'll make a sign for you, but I'm not training anyone. You know, Mitch, if anyone wants to come and train me, I'll teach you what to do with them. And then you can do it. You can make money. You can be involved in the industry if that's what you want to do. But I had no intention at all until I looked at you. All I saw were blue eyes. And I opened the door. He's like, I need help. And I was like, okay, I'm interested in hearing how this man needs help. And then he said, I'm a Vietnam vet. I'm struggling with some stuff emotionally. Done deal. It was over with. And at that point, we hit it off right away, right out of the gate.
I think we did.
Yeah. Well, you're still here
I
today.
went away thinking, this might be it.
Do you think that's the most handsome trainer I've ever seen in
No.
my life?
No. I thought he's short.
I feel like Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. I feel like Dalton. Everyone says, I thought you'd be bigger. And my response
No, I don't know. I didn't. I'd never met one before. So I just know that it was easy to talk to you. It still is for anyone that just meets you. It's easy to talk to you. And I thought, maybe he can help me.
Yeah. And we have, at the beginning of the podcast, we have determined it wasn't necessarily me that's helped you. It was you that helped you because you're the one that took the initiative. And that's what I always remind the guys that come and work with me, that I don't do any of the work. I simply provide a pathway or a system or guidelines or just some sort of direction that people are lacking.
But you know the system and you know what we don't know.
Well, I've done it literally thousands and thousands and thousands of times, and it's not hard at all. The thing that I have really gotten good at is creating relationships with people. You know, the old saying, they don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And I think that's really, to get to the bottom line, what you resonate with. You know I care. You know I want to help. As much as I make fun of you, as much as I do what I do and get on you and scream and yell and all that sort of stuff, it's out of like really caring because I want you to not have these limiting self-beliefs. So you come in, I can't do this, I can't do this. It's like, shut up. Like, don't say that because you're only holding yourself back from what I know is possible based upon my unique experience. Like you just shared a unique experience with us about Vietnam that I cannot talk about because I was never there. I was a Marine, but I never was in a war. So I can't talk about that like you can. Most people can't talk from the perspective that I have as it relates to training people.
Yeah.
Because I've done it literally thousands of times. Certainly a 16-year-old girl can't do that. A 26-year-old handsome, ripped trainer can't talk about my experience that I have working with men over the age of 50. And the other day we were talking about, your wife, Charlotte, had said, I think he just likes saying you're 80 years old because it gets people's attention. That's part of it. Because so many people say it's not possible. And I've clearly seen you improve in areas that most people 30 years younger than you probably wouldn't improve in. And that is specifically pushing that sled up the driveway. For anyone that's never pushed this sled up my driveway, which is about 65 yards long, it's not easy.
A little bit incline.
A little bit of an incline. It's not easy. I have fit people go, oh man, this thing just kicked my ass. Wayne actually looks forward to it. And it's partly because you've shifted your mindset from telling yourself all of the reasons why you can't, shouldn't, and whatever it is, like you no longer speak that way. And it took a long time to get you over those things.
It did, and you would bitch and moan at me for for doing that. But slowly I came around. I know it's not a big deal. I'm not going to show it, but I do have a little bit of bicep.
Let's see it.
From 80 years old.
So go ahead, flex it in there right there. You can see. Flex your bicep, man. This is a podcast, but the people watching there you go. Look at that right there. There you go.
And my legs are strong.
The legs are strong.
One leg strong, one arm strong.
One arm strong. You did have a little bit of a disparity from the right side to the left. And I keep asking, did you ever have a stroke? And you say, no, I've been this way my whole life, and I don't believe you.
I do.
You've not been that way your whole life. Mm-hmm. From the day you were born, you were telling me your right side didn't work like that.
I believe that.
You believe that, but we can believe a lot of stuff. Like the stories we tell in life become embellished over time. Like they really didn't happen the way we tell the story.
Yeah.
So you've told yourself this story, and you might be being honest right now, but if there were anyone left in your family, which there isn't, you're the lone survivor now. You're the last dude rocking. But if I asked them, did Wayne have an imbalance between the right and left side that was noticeably there, would they say yes or no?
I think they would say yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you lived your life, not me.
But, you just trained this arm to do something. You had to salute with your right hand and things like that. But for the most part, it's all left.
Right. And that was the first thing I asked you. One of the first things I asked you when you sat on my porch. What did I ask you? Do you remember that?
Did I use my left hand for a lot of things? I said yes.
Yeah. What was the main thing I asked you that you did? I asked
We're not talking that.
I asked you if you masturbated.
We're not talking that. The left arm always, but sometimes the stranger.
Okay, there you go. See, Wayne took it to another level. He said he didn't want to talk about it, but he's all proud of it. There you go. So,
that's all. They don't know what that means.
Oh, they absolutely know what that means. They 100% know what that. And that's the beauty of the relationship that we have. Is it's like, man, come on, man. We're just two guys. At the end of the day,
20 years apart, but we still. I think I'm a little immature, so then I'm about like him.
I am very immature. So you say immature? Is that how you say it?
Immature?
Oh, that's gross.
What?
Immature.
Oh, immature?
Yeah. Immature. You sound like you're trying to be
immature. Fancy. I do have another word for you someday.
What?
No, man.
Go ahead, man.
No.
So you told me you were going to embarrass me.
Not
next
today.
Time we better. You said the next time we get on a podcast, now's your chance. Take your best shot. You were going to embarrass me.
No, I don't remember what it was. I'll still remember it someday.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So you've improved your body. I want to stay on this conversation because it's important for people to understand that all we do is make excuses. So the first thing Wayne did was made a decision to take action to drive up a driveway that he had no idea what he was going to meet at the door when he knocked on a stranger's door, even though it said, hey, come up here. Actually, there was a phone number. Nowhere on that sign did it say drive up my driveway and knock on my door.
You're right.
You did it anyway. So that takes a certain amount of boldness and a certain amount of desire to go to the next level. Then you had to pay my fee, which is not cheap. You clearly stated yesterday how many tens of thousands of dollars you've already given me.
Well, that depends on how many years I've been with you. I don't care.
But with that said, a lot of people are afraid to make an investment in themselves. Is the investment that you've made into yourself, do you see a return on it? Could you have given your money to any other situation, Bitcoin or any of this stuff that we see going around that would have given you a better return on the investment?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because you have to want to do it, and you have to feel comfortable with who you're doing it with. If by chance I just got a 17-year-old girl, well, there would be nothing there. And so that's why I kept going to different places. They never got better trainers. When I first started with my new trainer, my first trainer, there were quite a few trainers out there, and he was doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it's good that he continued to further his education and became a physical therapist. So that shows me that he knew what he was talking about. He knew what he was doing, and he saw things.
He could do, similar to you in that he had a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
I loved him. In fact, I might bring him over tomorrow night.
To your house?
Your house. He's coming to stop in to see me, And I said, maybe we'd just drive over, see you.
Okay.
For 10 minutes.
All right. Make sure I'm there.
So.
Make sure I'm there. So what would you say to people who are like on the fence about doing something with their life and they're making the excuse that age is the reason that they couldn't, shouldn't, can't, or whatever?
You know, this affects a lot of people. For example, oh, I'm just too old to go to college. I'm too old for this. I'm too old for that. The 4 years are going to pass, whether you go to college or not. At the end of that 4 years, you're either going to have a degree or you are not going to have a degree. So if we create that with you, I had to do something because I was getting worse and worse. And I was my own fault. I was just laying there, sitting there and reading and TV, So if at the end of 3 years, I haven't done anything, well, it just became worse. But on the other hand, if you do something, then it'll switch around to, get better and better.
I love that you said that time is going to pass either way, and you will either get better or worse. We just released a podcast episode. You're gonna. There's no in between. Sitting on that couch doing nothing. People say, "Well, I didn't choose one way or the other." You did choose. You choose not to do anything, which that choice eventually is going to manifest itself in you getting worse. There's no in between. So you mentioned the other day that some people in your life have reacted and responded to you in ways that have shown you that they too are seeing the improvement, right? Was it your doctor or someone that said something recently? Did you get off of a medication or I can't remember what it was specifically that you said. I might be manufacturing that in my head.
Well, my doctor himself said, don't stop. It certainly works for you. So that's, I agree there. So I don't know what it was, but if people knew me before, then they know it's a different person.
Yeah.
Because it's not just flab, it's got some muscle somewhere.
Well, definitely have muscle. And if nothing else, if you didn't change aesthetically, meaning, you know what aesthetic means?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just me and Wayne quiz each other on words all the time. So if nothing changed aesthetically, functionally you've changed, emotionally you've changed, you've changed in so many ways, but aesthetically you've changed as well. People recognize it online, but also within your community. So Wayne lives in a retirement community here locally that he's basically the mayor of. He runs around in his little golf cart with Steele on the back. He lives at the top of the hill there. He's got
It's a fun thing.
It's a fun thing. So within your community, what are people saying to you? I know that people are now training with us. Like Anita has a client, Ginny, who is coming there now. And I believe that's a direct result of them knowing that you've been coming to my house to get training. So you're an influencer.
Hey, yeah.
You are.
They make a lot of money, those influencers.
Apparently, everyone does, but this one right here.
No, I just, they ask, first of all, they can't believe I pay that much.
You tell them how much you pay me?
Roughly.
Why? It's none of their business.
How much does it cost? That's the first thing they say.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It's not their money. I can spend it how I want to. So I do.
Yeah. Does Charlotte she'll pay any amount of money to get you out of the house.
You're right. I was thinking, I volunteer on the Midway, the USS Midway downtown. I thought I maybe would quit. I've been there 15 years volunteering, and she said, no, you're not. I want this time alone.
Why would you quit doing that? That seems like
I've answered the same question 1,000 times, for the 2,000 times for the people.
Oh.
From Iowa, from Missouri, they're all...
Well, that's your job. I mean, I don't think there's
That's
only
true.
so many
That's
questions.
true, but
What's the number
sometimes
one question you get on the Midway when they come? So Wayne is a docent, right? A docent on the Midway, a museum.
Tour guide, another
guide.
reason for it, yeah. The number one question is A, how many people were on board, and B, how much does it weigh?
So answer it.
The third question that I get a lot and I don't know is, how does it float? I don't know how it floats.
That's the way it's built.
Well, I know, but it's metal, pure metal, all over, and it just floats away.
They fill it with helium.
Huh?
There's helium.
No, it isn't. But they're eternally grateful to see it.
Yeah. So how many were on it?
Oh, 4,500.
4,500. Mm-hmm. And it was in service.
All men.
Yes. It was in service for how long?
42 years.
42 years. What battles did it see?
This is the whole crux of it. It saw no battles.
No battles.
No.
The USS Midway saw no battles.
It's an aircraft carrier, and it was commissioned 1 week after they stopped World War II.
Okay.
So it didn't go anywhere there. And it did bypass, and it was bypassed. I mean, it would bypass Vietnam when it was there and Korea, but it never saw battles per se, because those two countries don't have navies.
Oh.
And so, no, they never were battled.
So why is it so famous? What's the big deal about the Midway? I mean, respectfully, I don't want to disparage
I think probably just because it's still alive.
The Battle of the Midway was famous.
Huh?
The Battle of the Midway.
Yeah, but the Midway wasn't
That's
in the Battle
what
of
we
the
were
Midway.
named after. Yeah,
Right.
we were named after the Battle of Midway. And so that probably brings some people in anyway.
Okay.
But it's just big. People don't understand how big it is.
Yeah. So is it true that you could do a 20-year tour on an aircraft carrier like that and not meet everyone on the ship?
Oh, I'm sure you're right, because you might be there, and then I come, and then I go somewhere else, and
Right.
you never met me, and so yeah. Well, they don't meet people. It's not a cruise ship.
Right.
They
You're there to do a job.
they know where they sleep, where they eat, and where they work, and that's really all. And that if you're an engine room man, then you only know engine room men. You don't know the medics. You don't know anything else. So
Makes sense.
that's what they do.
I love it.
And they work long hours, and they go home and sleep.
So as we wrap this podcast up, what are you looking forward to in life? What are you excited about? What words of encouragement would you have for anyone that's listening or watching us right now?
Don't do this.
Yeah, come on, man. You don't need to be some motivational speaker, but you certainly have stuff to say. I mean, I know you look forward to coming to my house. Like, that's exciting to you, right? We go to lunch down at Farmer Boys.
Yeah.
We hang out. We have a good time. They love you down there. They always say, "Where's Grandpa? Where's Grandpa?" I say, "He's home sleeping on the couch." So they always recognize that you're not there with me.
Yeah.
Wayne wants to outlive me so he can make fun of me when I'm 80 and not able to do the things that
I'll
I
be
do when I'm
dead.
50. Who knows?
No, I'll be dead.
Okay.
That I know.
Well, before you die, what do you want to say to the world? This is going to live forever right here, right now.
I just say, it's just general, but you just got to make your own way. And if I didn't do that, I'd still be just getting fatter, and sitting on the couch. And so I had to do something.
Fair enough. Well, I'm glad you did it with me.
And the fact is that if it has to cost you something, fine. If you get it for free, it's not that good.
Got to have skin in the game. Anytime you do something that's given to you, like a kid getting a car given to him from his parents, he's probably not going to wash it, compared to the kid that goes and works with a paper route and all of that. He's going to keep that car taken care of. We have a body, right? We're stewards of that. That's the difference that we need to understand. You're talking about being a good steward of your body, taking care of the one thing that matters more than anything in our life. You watched people have that gift taken away from them in a moment, and you were there to try and help them make it.
And you see it, you hear it all the time in the paper and everywhere. It's everywhere.
So we're in the
on your
same
own.
thing, right? I'm trying to help people get more years out of their life like we've been able to do with you. I'm so grateful that you came up my driveway that day. I'm so grateful that you were honest and open enough and transparent and vulnerable enough to say the things that you said. Otherwise, who knows where you might be right now. So you've given me an opportunity to fulfill my calling and my purpose.
True.
And that is really just share this unique experience and perspective that I have that a lot of people don't. So I'd be remiss if right now I didn't just say, look, if you're in a position in your life where you feel like you need some help and you're ready to take a step and invest in yourself, like Wayne said, it's an investment. And it's an investment that you'll get a return on that you won't get anywhere else in life. I promise you this. So there are links all around here. I would encourage you to click the button, which is equivalent to driving up the driveway, and then have a thoughtful conversation of what it is that you're experiencing in life and what you need to do differently that I could help provide some insight to that nobody else can, because I certainly have a unique perspective of working with people of all walks of life, and you could be next. So Wayne, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye. I'm his oldest client, so that's what I have to say.
That's it. All right.
I'm pretty happy.
So am I. Well, as always, get busy living and make it a great day. Boom.
Did good.
You did great.
Yeah. Better than last time.